That's what happens when marketing controls the website versus a technical team.
Well, just a little bit. Hey everyone, welcome back. We're doing our third pricing video here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Bitbucket. Now, if you've missed it, we've already done a video on GitLab and GitHub, so make sure you go and watch those. And if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let's go talk about Bitbucket pricing. Sean, how do you like Bitbucket?
I like Bitbucket. I'm primarily a on-prem or a data center Bitbucket user, but the vast majority of my customers are still using.
Do you
Uh,
think Atlassian missed anything or is missing out on anything because it's one of the only tools here that doesn't have the word Git in it?
um, well, yeah, I do think they missed out. I think it doesn't have the word Git in it because when it first came out as Stash, it supported Git and Mercurial,
Mhm.
and then over the years, it became just a Git
But I mean, they're one character away, right? They could just call it Git bucket.
Git bucket. They could. I definitely think if they had kept the name Git in it, they might have kept their market share. Um,
Well, in today's video, we're going to be focusing on checking out their different pricing tiers. And just like the other vendors we've been taking a look at, they do also have a three-tier hierarchy here. And just like the other ones, they also do have a free version as well. So we're going to be comparing and contrasting Bitbucket, focusing on Bitbucket, but also slowly but surely blending in a little bit of GitLab and a little bit of GitHub just to kind of give you a full perspective. But make sure you do hit that subscribe button because after we drop this video, Sean and I are going to do a separate video where we're going to give you our best recommendation for which Git tool you should be using based on your specific needs. So we're going to give you a couple of different options. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you come back for that one.
Definitely.
All right, Sean. So what do we get for free Bitbucket pricing here?
Well, really quick, since we did a lot of comparison to Atlassian on both GitHub and GitLab, um, hopefully we'll make up for it this session and compare Atlassian to both GitHub
Git,
and GitLab
GitLab
to be
or
fair.
Glub, GitLab, GitLub.
GitLab, GitLab, yeah.
All right. Well, so like GitLab, we are capped at 5 users. So as long as you're under 5, you're free forever. Although I feel that forever is not as forever as we once thought.
No, it's a air quoted forever.
It's an air quoted forever when they stop adding features to the free version and make it basically obsolete. But it is free for up to 5. And unlike unlike GitHub, where it's free for as many users because they don't state it.
Mhm.
Um, if your team is big, right? So if you have a 10-person team on GitHub, you'll get it for free. But on GitLab and on Bitbucket, you're gonna have to bump yourself up to the next tier. But what do we get? Let's assume that we're still on 5. Maybe we're a team of 1, right? And so what do we get for free? So we get up to 5 users. We talked about that. Now we get 50 minutes per month.
Mhm.
That is the lowest out of all the other
All
ones.
three,
I
yes.
thought GitLabs was bad at 400. What do you do at 50 minutes? That's like one run.
It's yeah. If you're lucky, it's one run. You know. Now,
Like this is like almost an insult at this
yeah.
point.
And so we're looking at self-hosted pricing, or are we looking at
uh, I think we're cloud. No,
on the top it says self-hosted, but I'm wondering if that's
that's
a menu item and not
that's a menu item. That is definitely a menu item where I can go over there.
because this does
Yeah,
so
self-hosted. You got to contact sales.
yeah. So we are definitely talking about the cloud version of Bitbucket, and not the on-prem version of
That's a
Bitbucket.
good call out. And so just to recap, GitHub is mostly cloud. Little mention of GitHub Enterprise Server, which allows you to be on self-hosted. GitLab has both, but
Mhm.
you get there's a for the same price, you get way more bang for your buck on the cloud version
We
than
do.
on the self-hosted.
Mhm.
And then Bitbucket here, we're not getting any pricing for self-hosted, which is strange to me because Atlassian is very well known for the transparency in pricing.
Yeah, they definitely don't want people on prem. They
They
are
definitely don't.
pushing people to the cloud, and I For the majority of my Atlassian customers that are using Bitbucket, most of them are on-prem. Very few of my Bitbucket customers are on the cloud. But I can't say that for my Jira and my Confluence customers. Most of them did go to the cloud, but the Bitbucket customers did not follow to the cloud. They usually went to GitHub or GitLab.
Yeah, migrations suck.
Yeah.
But anyways, continuing this, so 5,000, or sorry, 50. Shoot, I wish it was 5,000. 50 minutes is like, I'm telling you, it's just an insult here. And it is $10 for every additional 1,000. And so very much in line with the competitors, right? GitLab for sure was about $10 for every 1,000 minutes. So it's just sad to me. I'm like 50, like if you make a mistake, you're shot for the whole month.
We're still talking about the free, but once we go to standard, there's user tiers as well. So once we jump up to standard, we can't get, like, if we had a 12-person team, can we get 12 licenses?
Mm. Yeah, we'll take a look at that when I put the team size up here.
Okay.
Because unlike the other tools didn't really have a tiered version, right?
No.
If you need 12 users, you buy 12 users. If you need 13 GitLab users, you buy 13 GitLab users. But here, as you're gonna see, if we get to 13, it might not work the same way because the price for 13 is the same for 10 as it is for 19,
Mhm.
right? And it's not until you break over to a specific number. I think 25 is the first one, right? So 26 will bump me up. Nope.
Should. Uh,
30,
Go to 50 or 51.
50.
Yeah.
Well, still
51.
51, 55, 60,
Oh,
70.
go to 251 because we definitely know
What about
that that's
100?
yeah.
101? Ooh, 200.
It's recommending premium, but it's not necessarily changing the
It
price.
made the price changes a little bit.
Okay,
The
it
price
went up.
goes down a little bit.
It went down.
Went down by like a few pennies. All
Yeah.
right, we'll come back to that in a second. So let's just keep it at 5 right now. And what are we getting here? So 1 GB. So this is interesting. So the Git LFS,
Mhm.
the other ones mentioned storage, but nobody explicitly called out LFS other than GitHub.
Mhm.
But GitHub's LFS, I feel was paywalled. No, I feel like in order to get
It is.
LFS, it was an add-on. Yeah, it's an add-on for Git LFS.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's
So
just included in
in
uh,
Bitbucket,
premium with GitLab.
yeah.
But
So yes. So
it
this is
wraps all the storage together. It doesn't care if you're using LFS versus documentation or whatever.
mhm. So this one's an interesting one for me. A little good of a call out, but yeah, 1 GB
Well,
for
1
LFS
gigabit's nothing for
for LFS.
LFS, right?
Yeah. Code insights. So I'm not sure what code insights are, but apparently you get 3 integrations. So you apparently can connect up to 3 third-party connections. And when
So
you
I'm assuming Code Insights is connections to like Copilot and things like that.
mhm. We get 10 deployment environments. That's interesting. So none of the other ones were mentioning any of deployments. Everybody was on the minutes, but not how many environments you can have.
Yeah. So GitHub had environments, and but I'm not sure they uh, environment deployment branches and yeah.
Oh,
Um,
here we go.
so does it say how many?
No, but let me look down. There's an all features down here and see if there's anything down here.
Yeah.
Environment, deployment
Also called
branches.
workspaces. So if you see it under
I
workspaces,
see environment deployment here, but nothing.
yeah.
Nope, don't see anything there. Mm-mm.
All right. Well, we'll come back to that. I know we talked about GitHub workspaces, um, but maybe it's a. I don't think it's an add-on.
We talked about code spaces, but that was a different
Code
thing.
spaces, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any limits on
No,
how many environments you can push to.
yeah.
So, but this is interesting then that you're limited to 10.
Hmm.
So if you're deploying if you have a lot of environments, then especially if you exceed 100, then
Hmm.
you might not want to have that. The unlimited priority repos, this is good. So this is in line with GitHub. but GitLab didn't have anything concrete.
Mhm.
This would be a shame if you couldn't integrate with Jira.
Yes. It's almost like this should have been assumed.
And you
Yeah.
know what's interesting? GitHub integrates with Jira real well, and there's no mention of that here.
Yeah. Same with GitLab. GitLab's got
But
a great.
GitLab's a bit of a workaround now. No, it's not as native as GitHub and Bitbucket are.
It used to be, well, the on-prem version
Hmm.
was,
In
and
the
they.
cloud, you need like a paid third-party plugin to get GitLab to work.
I would believe that. Yeah.
So that's another thing. So if your Jira is your platform, right? GitLab is probably if you're very very heavily invested in GitLab and you want the most seamless experience for the least amount of money, then GitLab is probably not going to be the one you want to go with.
Mhm.
All right, we got CI/CD functionality, obviously, because they have the pipelines.
Yeah.
We have unlimited pull request reviews. There are no
Review.
limit to how many reviews you can add, reviewers you can add.
Mhm.
Which on the GitHub side, you do need to start paying for these.
Yes. Yeah.
So, or do you? Multiple. So yeah. So if you want multiple,
Yeah. You
then you
have
need
to
to
get
pay.
the team. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't see anything on the GitLab. Do you know anything on the GitLab side?
I don't think GitLab limits you on how many people can be a reviewer.
Okay. Then we got merge checks. So you get merge checks that you recommend certain conditions on pull request merges that are met for individual branches. So this, I think you also got maybe protected and things like this, but you got to pay
Mhm.
for it on the private stuff.
Yeah.
So you get some free stuff. That's not bad. Now this is a these next buckets here.
Yeah.
This is a trend with Atlassian, where basically anything behind their AI, it's you got to pay the most expensive premium or you get nothing.
Mhm.
So do not expect any AI capabilities whatsoever on the free version of Bitbucket. You're not getting any
Or
of that.
even the standard in this
Oh
particular.
yeah, and even the standard. On the security side of the house, we get guard. Now, I hate guard with Bitbucket. It's a huge pain in the butt. Mainly because if you have a user that for some reason doesn't use Jira, so let's back up. If you're on the enterprise version of Jira, right, you get Atlassian Guard for free, which is basically the SSO capability.
Mhm.
However, if you have a user, a developer that for some reason they're not using Jira, right, they don't have a Jira license, but they do have Bitbucket,
Uh-huh.
they will consume an Atlassian Guard license for you,
Sure.
and that to me feels sleazy.
Yeah.
I don't
I
like that.
I'm not sure I'd go all the way to sleazy, but yeah, it is. It's part of the architecture of how Guard came about, but it uses Jira as kind of the crutch for everything. It still sees Jira as the center of the universe in the Atlassian world. So even if you're only a Bitbucket user, but then one would argue is if you're using Bitbucket, why aren't you a Jira user too? Shouldn't
That's
you?
what I've always argued to people is like, well, how are you like, why are you working on code and you don't have a story assigned to you?
Yeah, unless they're trying to get away with not having that many Jira licenses
But
and
then that's how you end up with crappy products.
yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't. So I'm still in my early in my Git learning journey, right? But you authenticate to Git using rather convoluted process, though. In general, when you're authenticating
Hmm.
to Git, aren't you doing like keys and
Oh, you mean like SSH keys and stuff like that?
yeah,
Yeah. So that's yeah. So not only do you have to authenticate to Bitbucket itself when you're doing clones or fetches or pushes and pulls and things like that, then you're either using SSH key or you're authenticating through HTTPS.
right?
Um,
So then the question is why do you need guard at that point?
well, if you actually have to log into Bitbucket, then you need Guard.
Right,
If
but most people are going into the terminal.
Yeah, if you well, not everybody, but yeah,
But most, I would argue most developers are going to
I'd say
be
most
more
developers are probably just sitting in their IDE and they're letting their IDE interact with Bitbucket on the back end,
right,
and that gets set up once per project.
right. But you're not having to, do the MFA that SSO or guard requires.
No, not necessarily.
So that's why I'm like that's why I think it's sleazy, because maybe you don't
I
need
guess,
this.
yeah. Well, you need it if you're using the code review tool portion of Bitbucket. You're not necessarily sitting in your IDE for that. Uh,
Mm, I
if
can
you're
see that then.
approving
Okay.
pull requests and things like that, you're probably going to the Bitbucket IDE. Um,
My 2 cents though, if you don't have to guard and you don't want to worry about the guard stuff, get GitHub or GitLab, because the thing that sucks about this is that the guard license is at your enterprise domain level. So anybody using your company's email is going to consume a license, yeah, of guard,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so it's the
Yeah,
easiest way to not
your
pay.
card licenses has to be as large as your biggest Atlassian tool, uh,
Right.
number of users anyway. Um,
Correct. And so this is something that, again, if when we're going to look at pricing, because most companies do use guard, you're gonna have to tack on an extra $4 here, $4 or $5.
oh, there's lots of things you'll end up having to tack on for Atlassian. Um, Eventually, we'll probably talk about add-ons.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's continue. We got resource scoped access tokens. Access tokens are linked to a repository. I have never used this functionality, so I didn't even know this was possible.
Mhm.
But apparently, you
Usually,
get
if
it.
you have some sort of automation that's not an Atlassian automation, you'll need to use an access token.
Okay. Your encryption is in transit and at rest. So that's weird that the other ones didn't call out encryption.
Mhm.
I'm
That's true.
assuming they're all doing it too.
Uh, it's probably a bad assumption, but I think you're right. Encryption's
Requires
one that
Swift
I never
pay.
want to assume.
I know, right? You would think that they would make it known that your data is protected at rest and during move. But yeah, I didn't remember seeing it in the other ones.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
happens when marketing controls the website versus a technical team.
Well, just know that on the
So, release team, DevOps tool specialists. We provide professional services and software reselling around the leading software DevOps tools like Atlassian, GitLab, GitHub, JFrog, and others. To talk with us about DevOps, here's our contact information. Please call 866-887-0489 or via email at info@releaseteam.com. User community. You're
yeah.
not necessarily getting any support directly from Atlassian at the free level.
It's not like they'd be able to support it anyways.
Hey, we like Atlassian, Alex.
Right. I'm laughing, but it's frustrating because I ask Atlassian for help a lot of times for Bitbucket stuff, and they're like, "We don't really know anybody that knows that." And I'm like, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I mean, I'm only half kidding. They do have proper support, but it's not. Get Bitbucket doesn't get the same love as Jira and Confluence and some of the other
That
tools.
is that is true, and one of the reasons why, over the years we've seen people move away from Bitbucket. Um, I think the Bitbucket cloud is very attractive, and it should be considered now if you're making that decision to move to a new version control tool. Um,
Yeah,
but
and I think it's going to be attractive, especially as we start looking at pricing, right? Because let's just say we had 20, 20 people on our team, right? We're looking at $3.30. That's cheaper than GitHub
mhm,
by 70 cents because there's this $4, and it's way cheaper than $29.
yeah, yeah.
Way cheaper. So you're looking at $3 here.
Now to be fair, the other two are platforms and have a ton of other features, and this is specific to Git and version
Yeah,
control.
so that's interesting. So with Bitbucket, you're not gonna get Jira-like capabilities because Atlassian is expecting you to have Jira.
Mm.
You're not gonna get Confluence-like capabilities because, or Wikis-like capabilities, because Atlassian is expecting you to have Confluence. So now you're really factoring the $12 for Confluence, the $17 for Jira. And so now you're
Yeah,
looking a little
once
bit
you
more.
add them up, is the Atlassian solution comparative to GitHub, or is it
Right.
more close to GitLab's price?
But the
Uh,
argument I would have there though is that Jira and Confluence have been cooked for 20 years,
mhm.
right? They weren't an afterthought. They were something that has been developed intensively by Atlassian for many years. And to a certain degree, so is Bitbucket, right? But Bitbucket's not an afterthought tool either, right? Like it works well.
That's true, but if you're where I thought you were going with this argument, um, was because Git and basically came out at the same time, and everyone it's open source, and so these three big vendors, well, they're now big vendors, but at the time they were all smaller, came out with their own versions roughly around the same year. Stash, which is what Bitbucket used to be called, doesn't really predate GitHub or GitLab by any reasonable amount of time. They all came out within like a year and a half to 2 years of each other. And in fact, I don't think Stash came out before GitLab did. I do think GitLab predates GitHub, but not by very much. Um, and
Yeah.
and it was only an open source tool at that. So I would say that all three of them are very solidly baked tools. But the argument that they're I can't remember exactly how you put it, but they're not flippant tools. They didn't just come out of
Right. No, no,
nowhere.
no. And that's not where I was gonna go. But where I was trying to go with my argument is that Bitbucket, Confluence, and Jira are each individual well-established tools that work together very, very well.
Mhm.
On the GitHub and on the GitLab side, they have added on
Yes.
capabilities to their core
Okay.
that
Yeah.
to me those I've never used them, but I would assume they're gonna feel like an afterthought. They're not gonna feel native and as strong and as powerful as Jira is natively or as Confluence is natively.
Mhm. Yeah, it depends. Because I'd make the same argument on some of the things that Jira has grown into. Um, the whole grasshopper. Was it
Acquisition. Yeah, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But there's been other ones since then that have felt awkward.
Jira Align?
Align assets. What was assets called before?
Oh yeah, assets. Ooh, yeah, they had a
But,
name before.
anyway, that came in through an acquisition, and there's certain things it just does slightly different, especially in the back end. If I want to drop down and code something, fields or access to fields and assets are not the same as getting access to fields in regular Jira. There's nuances there that you have to be aware of. The same thing happens with GitLab and GitHub as well. It depends on the feature set, but both of those followed a a platform approach where they want to be the end all tool for software development. So software developers sit inside that environment and they never have to leave. Where Atlassian was going down the path of we're going to have best of breed tools for each one of these disciplines in software development, and then they kind of derailed.
I just gave developers a middle finger.
They kind of fell on their face with bamboo and never really recovered, and it kind of followed to Bitbucket, and I think Bitbucket Cloud is a huge step in the right direction, but still not necessarily treated as a favorite
Uh, what do
child.
they call it? Flagship. It's not treated as a flagship product.
Exactly, it's not treated as a flagship product,
Yeah,
and it should be. But the
but that's a different though because when you go look at GitHub and GitLab, those are flagship products.
yeah, they only have one product plus a few add-ons at
Yeah,
each company. They don't have a product per approach or discipline in software
yeah.
development. Now, those are two different philosophies. I really like the best of breed philosophy because that protects it protects your investment as a customer. That if I buy into the Atlassian um, philosophy and I get each one of the Atlassian tool sets, and a disruptor comes along and it does whatever, it does Confluence's functionality much better than Confluence does. I don't have to dump all of Atlassian to take advantage of this new disruptor. Um, I can, remove Confluence and add on this new one. I can keep my best of breed Jira and Bitbucket. Um, if the same thing was going to happen to GitHub or GitLab, it's harder to remove the entire platform because there's this one other tool that really just does this one piece really well. Um, I would say GitLab does a slightly better job at allowing bolt-ons, best of breed bolt-ons into their platform than GitHub does. But ultimately, the old Unix concept of making a tool do one thing and making it do that one thing very well fits with Atlassian's original approach very well. Um, and then you use those as building blocks to build out your entire environment. Where a platform approach is not tiny building blocks. It's we've bought this one Lego set completely assembled, and here you go. You can play with it, but don't take it apart.
Yeah, definitely don't take it apart. Okay. So yeah, so just some food for thought, especially as you look at the different vendors, right? You're gonna feel the experiences. It's something you feel, I think, in my opinion.
Mm,
So for pricing though, as you can see,
yeah,
rent
price.
standards 330, and then premium they make it easy. They just double the price. Okay.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah,
Now premium though, we'll see what we get, and again we'll come back, but we are kind of running towards the tail end of this episode, so we might have to do both of them in simultaneous order here.
yeah. Why don't we do
But
it that way? Yeah.
but with premium, even at double the price, it's still significantly cheaper than 21 for enterprise of
Yeah.
GitHub and 29. Well, I mean,
Let's
we
talk.
don't let's talk. And
Well, so the estimate of Ultimate, depending on what you get for a discount, who you work with as a partner, is between 100 and $120 a
so
user.
3 to 4x your
Yeah.
premium price.
Mhm.
So Bitbucket just 2x it.
Yeah.
GitHub does an interesting thing, right? Because there's what, another 5x, no?
Yeah.
Almost.
It is quite the jump if you're just looking at percentages. Yes.
Yeah, the 5x here, the 3 to 4x on the GitLab, and it's just a 2x on the Bitbucket.
Mhm.
But let's see what we get. So for both, we're gonna get unlimited. These I think are still numbers that we're laughing at because
Yeah.
GitHub's lowest tier, or their middle tier is 3,000. And so yeah, maybe Atlassian needs to charge a little bit more and give you more minutes.
And what is it per additional minutes? Is it $10 for 1,000 minutes? Is that what we saw?
Well, you know what? Maybe I like this model, and here's my thought. Right, we get 3,500. Right, we got 20 users. We're paying 20 times 6. Right,
Hmm.
but if we run out, we're gonna add 1,000 for just $10.
Yeah. Oh, the additional build minutes is right there. Okay.
Yeah, the additional is just $10 for another 1,000.
Yeah.
And so, but we're just paying $10. We're not paying $10 per user,
True. Yeah. We're just paying it.
right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like, and what you're not paying the $21, right? for this,
Yeah. Exactly.
for that 50,000, like how much more would we have to pay? So let's just take the price of one user here and
Well,
do
let's not go
21.
too much down that path because we can use that in our next episode. But
All right. Well, $15, right? So you could basically buy another 2,000 for, and then get more in parity.
yeah.
But again, but you're paying per user more, right?
Mhm.
This time it's just you're only paying it for one user. So if you have 10 users, you could technically buy 10 of these packages to get parity
Yeah.
with the GitHub, right? So now you got, I don't know, 10.
Yeah.
So
You
10.
still don't have a lot of minutes. It's, you know, if you're doing a 20-minute build once an hour, it's
Yeah, it's still not. Yeah, it's still not going to be there. There's got to be a line. And eventually, it does become better depending on the number of users. But yeah, even at 10 users, you're going to get 10,000 minutes, but you're still at 13,500.
yeah.
But yeah. So and then so yeah, you got to do a total cost of ownership, not just a per user cost.
And the LFS, yeah, you get more, but you're going to run out of that really quickly with
Yeah,
LFS.
the 10 gigabytes is nothing because on GitLab we get 50 gigabytes. Sorry, GitHub we get 50 gigabytes, and these folks I don't even think they gave us. Is it still just the 400, or is it just in the 10? If you
Yeah,
buy more, but you're gonna buy $5 for every 10. But it
yeah.
didn't look like you went. It didn't look like you got more than the 10 gigabytes as you went up in the
You
tiers.
you do, but they're not spelling it out here for us.
Interesting, GitLab. Interesting. Compare all features. Let me see if this one tells me. Storage, yeah. So you get 500 gigabytes.
Yeah,
So that's a nice bump.
yeah.
All right, you get unlimited integrations if you wanted to hook up with some other tools. We talked about this already, but you only get 100 deployment environments, which most of you all might be fine, but in case you're not, something to consider because it doesn't look like you can buy more environments.
No.
So this might make or break it for you. We get the unlimited repos that are private. We obviously get the Jira integration, although we don't get anything better, right? We
No,
just
it's
get Jira
just
integration.
all the way across.
Yep. We get all the same, the pull
Yeah,
requests and the things,
all
but
the,
where things get interesting now is at the AI level.
mhm.
So only at this level do we get AI powered pull request descriptions. So what this does is AI is going to analyze your pull description, analyzes your code changes,
Yeah.
and gives you a description.
Mhm.
I don't know how much I trust it, but sure. We got summaries and an editor prompt. So elevate your editing experience with summaries generated by Atlassian Intelligence directly in Bitbucket editor prompt.
Mhm.
We get pull request comment creation with custom prompts. So reviewers can use Atlassian Intelligence to interactively suggest code changes. And then, of course, we get spelling, grammar, and tone. So nothing that I would want to double my price for.
No, the whole tone thing is an interesting toy, and I got a kick out of it when they demoed it, but I don't necessarily see it as a selling point.
Yeah. So Atlassian Intelligence as a whole, I call it a gimmick.
Mm.
Rovo is a little bit more revolutionary,
Well,
but
yeah, I was going to bring that up. They don't necessarily mention the Rovo integration to Bitbucket yet.
not yet, but they're supposed to, right?
Yeah, well, it's available. I'm not sure why it's not on this page.
Marketing hasn't talked to engineering.
Yeah,
And then
usually
whatever the heck this is,
where we bash marketing.
then whatever the heck this is, we get dynamic CI/CD pipelines. So manage intelligent CI/CD workflows at the repo and workspace level. You know what I hate about Bitbucket though? There is
Okay,
an enterprise offering.
I noticed even though there's three tiers, they don't have the enterprise. I noticed that.
And that to me is a very big problem because if I'm an enterprise, I actively stay away from Bitbucket because the way Bitbucket is purchased, at least from my experience, has been an individual, your developer, a lead developer, right? Will
Mhm.
go to bitbucket.org and buy it. The Bitbucket is not something you normally buy through the partner, and it doesn't get sold the way Jira and Confluence do. And in
Yeah,
fact, your account managers from Atlassian at the enterprise level don't even know how to spell Bitbucket.
yeah. I for the longest time it wasn't included at your underneath your Atlassian admin account. It was a separate entity.
Right.
I believe it is there now.
They
But
won't bill it for you though. I just did my billing in March at an enterprise level, and they would not fall in Bitbucket.
I know that we quote them together.
Do you?
So
Okay.
I
Because
don't
I've
know
never,
why
at
that's.
least with the partner that I was working with, that I will rename nameless, but one of your former employees works at this partner that I absolutely do not like. Right. Um, they wouldn't do it, right? But here's where I have the bigger problem. Okay, that aside, the bigger problem I have is that partner would send my lead or me to bitbucket.org to buy Bitbucket, right?
Mm,
But I'm the owner of the repo now. And so when I leave the company, guess who's taking that IP with them?
well, that's not good. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
there's no enterprise, right? There's no consolidated, like, we hand out workspaces or repositories out. Like each individual squad or team has to go buy their own Bitbucket. And if somebody leaves or somebody does anything, like, that IP is compromised,
Mm.
which to me is the biggest non-starter for Bitbucket.
It definitely doesn't work that way with Bitbucket Data Center, which is we've been only talking about the cloud version of
Yeah.
Bitbucket. The Bitbucket Data Center hasn't changed much in a long time, and it does price things out differently. So I'm not sure it has the same levels of it may have an enterprise.
Well, I guarantee you that in the cloud, they don't have an enterprise. The
Yeah.
users are not the same users, right? So that you can't manage access to them from like you do. The administrators, your org admins are not an administrator in Bitbucket.
Mhm.
Somebody else needs to go and add, and then now you're consuming a seat,
Yeah.
even though you're not a developer or anything, right? But if you're the Jira admin, you will need a Bitbucket admin license.
Mhm.
Also, if you're not, I think because the GitHub and GitLab tools are so focused, dev centered focused, you're gonna have that background. But over here, because Bitbucket is a separate tool, you have strong Jira admins, but not necessarily a strong Bitbucket admin.
That's true.
And to
But
troubleshoot why is my repo not connecting or why is it not cloning
yeah.
or all that, like to a regular Jira admin, you'd be like, I don't know, you want me to do what post function workflow for you? Add a custom field, I can do that all day.
Now, most of the customers I interface with on a daily basis are on-prem customers, so they're using the data center versions of all this. And
So they have
most
more IT
organizations,
savviness.
well, yes, and they all, yeah, they do have IT savviness, and the majority of them um, staff their IT teams to have an Atlassian admin, and they expect that Atlassian admin to know all the Atlassian tools.
Yeah. So in the
So,
cloud, it's slightly different because
yeah,
it's not a
yeah,
requirement here.
I would say it's a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but very often, if you're an Atlassian admin and your environment is on prem, you're also the JFrog admin, and you're also the CloudBees admin, and
Yeah,
uh,
especially in the on-prem world, I think that is very true. But in the cloud, I think that the roles get a little bit more specialized.
they do, yeah, and you'll find many more people only wanting to do Jira
Yeah.
admin.
I can't believe I just remembered why I hate Bitbucket so much. Because of that non-enterprise compliance. It used to drive me insane. I hated that.
Yeah. So
Atlassian needs to treat Bitbucket as an enterprise tool, is all I can tell you.
I would say that they were. I'm not sure if they still are. I would
Well, I'm
agree
telling
with
you, my enterprise account manager had no idea what Bitbucket was.
you.
And they just
It's
brushed me
just
off. They'd be like, "Oh, we don't know. We don't really do a lot of Bitbucket." I'm like, "Why do I need to deal like I want one entry point and one contact at Atlassian to deal with my Atlassian tools,
yes.
not Atlassian tools minus Bitbucket."
Yeah, well, that's exactly people's mindset when they're staffing full time employees for on prem organizations. They want one Atlassian admin, and they don't understand why there's a difference between being the admin for Fisheye and Crucible versus being the Jira admin. Yeah, it's
Yeah, when I was an on-prem admin, I was the admin for TeamCity, Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, Fisheye, Bamboo.
yeah,
I did them all.
yeah.
Okay. And then just to wrap this one up, because we're definitely still a little bit over here. We got a couple premium only features. So IP allow listing. So if you want to, prevent other users from non-approved IP addresses from logging in, you can do that. Just keep in mind, you might need a VPN or something to keep it consistent.
Mhm.
Enforce merge checks, which makes sense. Some of the other ones did have it behind a paywall, but this one's only available in the premium, which is the highest tier. I
Mhm.
think we saw this in the lower tiers. The
Yeah,
two-step certification, this
this
it's
two factor
okay. Yeah.
authentication.
But this is okay for me where it's at here, although this kind of conflicts a little bit with guard up top, a little bit.
Yeah, because doesn't Guard have that at each level?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm like that
yeah.
that statement is a little confusing to
So
me.
maybe if you're not using Guard, you have it natively, is what they
Right.
say.
So yeah. So apparently if you want a little bit of protection, you do need to go all the way up to that level. All right. We got scale CI workflows. So we got reduce duplication and simplify management. Pipeline configurations create CI workflows that meet your organization needs. That's okay. Deployment permissions to um, protect your customers without slowing down your team. For example, you can enable only admins to deploy to a critical environment such as production. This is good. This is helpful.
Yeah,
Sucks that you got to go all the way to premium to do this.
for it. Yeah,
It should be like on the free version.
yeah.
And then finally, we get enforce signed commits.
Mhm.
Strengthen security and compliance by requiring that every commit in your repository. I feel like all this cybersecurity stuff should be part of the free version. Like all of the versions should
Sure.
have it
Yeah,
because you're just exposing the company.
Yeah.
if they're on the free. Like a startup at the beginning, like they're not gonna be able to afford the premium.
No, but they would take advantage of all this stuff. This should be baked in. But so this gets back to the argument of is are they following somebody else? As Atlassian follows somebody else's lead. So if you compare this to GitLab, GitLab's got a lot of their security stuff up in the ultimate level. Um,
Yeah.
is that the reason why it's only available in the enterprise level at the for Atlassian, or not the premium for Atlassian?
Yeah, I mean they all do, but this is I mean this is the argument I would have for all of them, right? Which is like these items over here, like especially with startups, because like you get into your bad behaviors from the beginning, right? So if you don't have the functionality available to you at the beginning, then you're not thinking about it from the beginning. You're not building for it at the beginning,
Yeah, and it
and so
surprises you when you jump up to the higher level.
well, not only that, but when you do need it, you've already built the bad behavior to not depend on it.
Yeah.
So then it becomes an afterthought, and that's when you become exposed to attackers. So I think from a humanitarian perspective, I would put
So
it at the
with
beginning.
pricing, they should be shifting left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the pricing for Bitbucket. As you can see, it's the cheapest out of the bunch, but it depends. It requires you to partner up or bundle up. I think it would be the right word. Bundle up with other tools. So, in the grand scheme of things, because for every one of these, if you have a guard, you got to add at least $4 or $5.
Yeah. You
And then,
have to add Confluence pricing. You have to add Jira pricing to compare this with GitHub or
yeah.
GitLab.
And then let's reiterate the point that you said, right? So at least when you're at the quote unquote enterprise level, you buy in tiers. So if you need 300 licenses, if you need 301 licenses, you will most likely need to buy 400 because
I think it's
Atlassian won't sell
five.
you 300.
I think it's five. I think it goes from
Is
two.
it, does it go, does it start jumping in 200s?
I think
At
so.
one point, it's like 25s. It's
Yeah.
like one, I think you can go all the way to 25, and then it's like 250, then 100, then it's like 200, 300.
No, it's no. It goes from 100 to 250, and then I think it goes
Okay.
250 to 500. But then I don't
Okay,
know
so
what
you
it
jumping
does.
in 250s? Yeah. So you got to buy more than what you need.
Yeah.
So you got to plan for that as well. So they get their money somehow.
And the licenses aren't floating. And we probably should have said that none of the three tools that we talked about have floating licenses. They're all named licenses.
I
Um,
remember that back in the what tool was it? ClearQuest, no?
ClearCase and ClearQuest were all floating licenses.
I
And
remember those that people would be like, "Oh, you freed it up. I need one."
well, not only were they floating, they were perpetual licenses. So if you still have a server running from 20 years ago, you may not, you may still have valid ClearCase and ClearQuest licenses. Um, but I'm not sure how we dragged them back into the conversation, but
Wouldn't that be an episode of Doru without talking about ClearCase and ClearQuest? I'm surprised we missed it on the last one. We were talking about Watson.
I know we did talk about Watson on that one. But yeah, I even with add-ons for Bitbucket, we haven't really touched on Rovo, and Rovo can talk to Bitbucket now. It's been able to for a number of months, I believe. I'm not sure if it timed up with the Teams conference or not, but it might have.
I don't remember seeing it because I thought the screen had Jira, Confluence, and JSM.
Yeah,
So, but folks, that is the pricing for again Confluence. Make sure you for Bitbucket.
Bitbucket.
ma-
Yeah,
Make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like because in the next episode, we're gonna give you our somewhat subjective slash professional opinion on things to really like. We're gonna put it all together, right?
yeah.
Now that we know the pricing of all the three major players, what should you be considering and which one's the right tool for you? So we're gonna answer that in the next one. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and we'll see you next week.
All right. See you, everybody.